From out of a world of beauty, excitement, and adventure, a journey to the arid wastelands of the South African interior, home to a surviving Stone Age people whose pattern of existence has changed little from that followed by our remote ancestors over 1 million years ago. These are the Bushmen of the Kalahari Desert, and their story is a unique drama from the untamed world. When the early Dutch moved inland from the Cape of Good Hope, they found a strange people living as wandering hunters in the interior veldt. They called them the people of the bush. Pressure from European immigration to the south and waves of Bantu-speaking African immigrants from the north have pushed the Bushmen further and further into the semi-arid wasteland of the Kalahari Desert, where they cluster in temporary villages around seasonal water holes. The villages are small groups of families. Their numbers change with the season and the availability of water. A region can support more people during the short, wet summer. Even today, the Bushmen have taken few steps to stabilize their nomadic existence. Some peripheral bands, however, have begun to keep small grazing herds as insurance against hard times. But hunting is still the only male occupation possible for the groups who live deep within the desert. The great wild herds of ostrich and wildebeest that once provided a steady meat diet are now stories from the past, told around the campfire. The Bushman hunter today may venture out 1 to 3 days a week, and a large kill, such as an eland, is a rare event. The leather hunting bag, equipped with bits of net, string, and sharp-edged tools, is often the male adult's only personal possession. When it is thrown over the shoulder, he is ready for the hunt. This is the hunting territory, the Kalahari, 100,000 square miles of arid land, transformed for a short time during the summer rains into a green pasture. The hunting party is equipped to search out the spring hare, a more likely victim in this region today than any larger game. The key to trapping hare is the flexible pole, up to 15 feet long, tipped with a sharp barb. No luck here. The pole is inserted down the burrow and carefully twisted around any curves or obstructions in the tunnel. An animal has been impaled. Now it must be directly located. The vibrations carried up the pole tell the experienced handler when he has stabbed the hare. Then it is merely a matter of digging out the wounded prisoner. Now the death blow, and this hunting party moves back to base camp. The once rich veldt can only provide a meager existence today. The spring hare and the guinea fowl are the only reliable game. Other animals have moved north or died out. The blue buck and quagga, a striped wild horse, became extinct at the time of Dutch penetration to the interior. The once vast herds of wildebeest and ostrich were on the decline by the middle of the 19th century. Today, only 37% of the Bushman's diet is provided by meat. The rest is scavenged from the plant life of the desert. On the return to base camp, the anticipated meal merits careful preparation. A shallow hole must be dug for slow pit roasting. Hand and stick are the Bushman's only tools. Dry brush is collected to provide a clean surface for butchering the animal. A large kill, such as an antelope, would be brought back to the village and carefully divided among the community. But a small animal, such as this hare, is only enough food for the hunters themselves. A few deft cuts prepares the carcass for the fire. Wood is carefully selected to achieve a hot ash. The dry veldt provides an ample supply of firewood. The insides are removed, but the liver is cooked. It's a delicacy reserved for the hunter who made the kill. The gut of the animal provides sturdy sinew for bowstrings. Now the meat is singed on the open fire. The new string material is cleaned and added to the hunter's shoulder sack. Tobacco is the bushman's sole luxury, constantly in demand in his trading activities with neighboring peoples. When the hair has been singed, it must be returned to the hunter who caught it, for only he can decide how it is to be divided. Every aspect of this ancient way of life has its time-honored rule. The survival of a society in such an environment demands that everyone assume a traditional social role. Individualism could bring disaster. Now the meat is put into the pit and the hot ashes spread over it for slow cooking. The Bushmen have remarkably little ceremonial, but a hunter's first kill is one occasion which they honor, even if it is done with little preparation or fuss and almost no audience. A companion cuts small lines or nicks across the initiate's torso. A paste made of the newly killed animal's fat mixed with ash is rubbed into the wound to leave distinctive scars. The ceremony completed, the young hunter is now a man, accepted by his community as a responsible adult. He may now take a wife. hare has cooked long enough. Now it will be cut up for distribution among the members of the band. The Bushmen prefer meat to any other food, despite its scarcity, so they respect a capable hunter. If the novice proves to be a great provider among his people, he may even take 2 wives. This would be a mark of extraordinary skill, as only 1 in 10 Bushmen has enough hunting expertise to support 2 families. He may indeed gain the ultimate mark of respect from his band and acquire the status of headman for the entire community. Children at play, imitating their elders, learning how to use their environment to the best advantage, learning how to use the simple tools and weapons of Stone Age man. Besides raising the children, the women must also augment the meat supply provided by the hunters. Berries and nuts gathered from the hardy plant life of the Kalahari provide daily nourishment for all. As soon as they are able, children help their mothers in harvesting the veldt. These berries were collected close to the village, but scavenging for food in the desert may take women and children on daily trips of up to 12 miles. Their use of the desert's food supply is highly efficient. Nothing is wasted. A study of one tribe of Bushmen calculated their average intake of food at 2,140 calories, or 1.4 pounds per day. The larger game wander into the Kalahari only during the summer when the water holes are full. An oryx has been isolated from the other animals, forced into an enclosure surrounded by a wall of bushes. It has already been weakened by a poison spear. The poison is concocted from plants, the poison sacs of venomous snakes, or from the larvae of a desert beetle. Any large animal struck by a bushman's spear will absorb enough poison into its bloodstream to destroy the nervous system and render it helpless within a few hours. But if an antelope is hit on the open veldt without the help of a fence trap, a long search through the desert is necessary until the animal weakens and dies. After a successful hunt, the social responsibility stressed in the bushman's way of life comes into play. The carcass will be dragged back to the village and divided up according to a system which assures everyone of a share in the spoils. The owner of the first spear that actually struck the animal will arrange the distribution. The spears and arrows of the Bushmen are brittle weapons. The hunter's attempts would be futile without the poison. Its ingredients are gathered by the women. Equipped with a digging stick, this woman is searching out the desert roots which provide the juices essential for one kind of poison. The root juice is not poisonous in itself, but when mixed with the pulped bodies of beetle larvae, the combination produces deadly results. A gathering expedition on the veldt may forage for poison roots or foodstuffs like wild berries and mangetti nuts. All of the vegetable matter of the region is called veldtkos, and as the animal life of the desert continues to diminish, it is the veldtkos that assures survival. The veldtkos is also the important consideration in the bushman's idea of property ownership. The people do not believe in land ownership as we do. One cannot eat earth. It has no value. But the veldtkos in a territory is precious and regarded as the property of the band which normally wanders in that region. Theft of a patch of wild roots or a grove of mangetti trees may result in death for the trespasser. The desert provides utensils as required. Grass, for example, is used for roofing, bedding, or packaging material. Whatever the need, the supply can meet the demand. The permanent possessions of the women never amount to more than a few strings of beads. Anything more would be cumbersome to their nomadic way of life. If any extras are produced in the way of leather clothing or beads, they are traded to the neighboring Bantu for tobacco. The leather kaross is worn by all. It doubles as cloak and blanket. The women also have leather shoulder bags for carrying foodstuffs or children. This is the small Cladocera beetle. Its larvae are used for the manufacturing of poison. The larvae are collected either from the leaves of desert plants or after they have dropped to the ground and burrowed in the sand to make their cocoons. The strict rules of bushman life revolve around food and water supply. Beyond that, their social regulations are casual. A village called a werf is scarcely more than a number of relations living together, perhaps 25 or 30 people. Their huts, called skirms, are thatch-covered temporary canopies of branches stuck into the sand. The product of a day's labor in the desert, enough to sustain life until tomorrow's expedition. In such a loose social organization, group activities which bind the community together must have strong effect. Food sharing and blood relationships make for a strong community identity. But group activities such as dancing and making music are also very important. Everyone participates in these affairs, including visitors. It would be a very serious insult to be left out. The origins of these strange people of the desert are still unknown. They are unique in appearance, culture, and language. When the Dutch first encountered the Bushmen with their deeply lined faces and prominent cheekbones, they thought they had discovered a lost race of Chinese. They are relatively small people, averaging only 5 feet in height. They are agile and graceful in movement, yet have the dried, wrinkled skin of the elderly, even when they are young. Their distinctive language is dependent on clicking sounds, which provide the important consonants in their speech, and are extremely difficult to imitate. But the culture of this Kalahari hunter is in peril. Physically, the Bushmen are showing more and more of the features of their taller neighbors, the Bantu. On the fringes of the desert, the Bushmen work on the farms of the Bantu villages. Some Bushmen have begun to settle in permanent villages of their own and keep cattle. But in the wasteland of the central Kalahari desert, perhaps 2,000 souls live a nomadic existence which is as old as man himself, impelled by the drive for survival in the untamed world.